Couldn't have moved. Couldn't have moved. Not even a little bit.
Why didn't you ask me to?
Jeffrey, you shouldn't have to ask. You should just be able to read my mind at this point. Boop. Did you know I was going to do that? Could have if you could read my mind.
I need to clean my ears.
Oh, you got donkey?
Probably.
Boogies. Okay. Wait, what are some songs about partying?
We like to party. We like to party. We like to party. The Vango bus is coming and everybody's jumping. New York to San Francisco. It's a different Vango Boys song. What else? Party. Party rock is in the house tonight. Hanna, have a good time.
I mean, there's probably so many party songs that I can't even think of any of them.
Happy birthday to you. That's a good party song.
I thought you meant party in the song. Like it
I
was
do, Jeff. I
Well,
couldn't
there's
think of
no
another
party
one.
in Happy Birthday.
We sing it at birthday parties. Party. I feel like I'm
Yeah, I feel like we're missing some.
something's gotta give here, peeps.
Songs with party.
Party people in the house, let's go. It's a boy,
I got the
Jay-Z.
perfect one.
What?
Do you remember Andrew WK? Party hard, party.
No?
You don't remember?
I don't know that.
What? It's like literally party hard, party.
No, I don't know that song.
It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. Cry if I want to. I'll try. I did.
Party all the time, party all the time.
Anyway.
Don't know. Anyways, those are some party songs. Hello everyone and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
And
Partying.
we don't really party that much. You're going to be able to tell.
Could you tell?
Could you tell? You're going to be able to tell from some of our picks. Today we are doing our top 10, I think I have 11 or 12, party board games. Party style games. Games to play at a party.
You have 11.
I'm counting these as one of them. I have another one in my head. Okay?
These aren't in any order though.
There's
right?
no order. We don't do order. There's no order in this court. So these are 10 games that we would recommend to bring to a party. I typically bring games everywhere that I go, just hoping maybe somebody is like, I'm bored. We should play a game. And then I could be like, what? I have a game? I have a game we could play.
Say no more.
Say no more. So these are some party style
That was
games.
so creepy. Did you see what?
Say no more.
Look at my wares.
Let's just get into it, Jeff. You're being silly. Let's start with the one that I don't actually have with me or with us. I believe it's in storage. I don't know why. It's actually I do because we can't play it, just the two of us. That game is Deception. Murder in Hong Kong. Okay, so Deception Murder in Hong Kong is a game that plays really well with a large group of people.
Yeah.
It is a deduction style game where you are trying to figure out who the murderer is among you. One person is an investigator or a detective, and they are trying to give clues to the group to help everyone decipher who is the murderer, what they murdered with, so like the weapon, also known as a weapon, where, and like there's a few other things. Everybody's got some cards in front of them, so you're trying to deduce based on the investigator's clues, based on the cards in front of everybody, who done it. And it's a really interesting game because as you are kind of explaining your reasoning for why you think somebody did something or maybe why you didn't, nobody else is allowed to say anything. You get like 30 seconds to talk and you're like, I think it's Jeff because he looks suspicious. He's got poison everywhere. There was poison at the crime scene, and Jeff just has to sit there and listen until it gets to his turn when he could say, first of all, this isn't poison, it's perfume, you idiot.
Also, it's really interesting because the murderer also gets a chance to talk and like maybe push things off or like cause confusion or whatever.
Point in somebody else's
in a different direction. It's very good. The clues are very abstract.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of deduction.
We played this with the Table Nuts crew as well as Kyle when we visited them in Kentucky. So that was you, me, Kyle, Danielle, Emily, Doolin, and Max. So there were 7 of us, and it was great at 7. I don't know what the maximum player count might be 8. I'm not sure. But
yeah, it plays very well at a higher player count.
Yeah, probably the more
I think
people,
it's,
the
yeah,
better.
more the better for sure.
Yeah, and we were actually gifted a copy of this from Luke at Dice Tower West. So just once again, thank you, Luke, because we freaking love that game.
Yep. Next up, we have a tiny little box, tiny little oink game, and that is A Fake Artist Goes to New York.
It's a fun way to hold it.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Fake Artist Goes to New York is a very simple drawing game wherein everyone has a prompt, but one person in the group doesn't actually know what the prompt is.
I didn't get no prompt.
One person doesn't know what the prompt is. For example, on my turn, maybe everyone knows it's a shark. And I'm drawing a shark, so I get to draw one line of the shark. And then Jamie goes, and she knows it's also a shark. And she's going to continue drawing the shark. It gets to the fake artist, and maybe they think we're drawing a whale. So they draw a big whale tail on it. And we'd be like, you're not knowing what we're drawing here. And that's basically the game.
Yes, and that is an actual example that happened to Dueling from Table Knots.
That is a real life
example. And it's super fun because, like Jeff said, everybody draws one line at a time. And even if you aren't the fake artist and you're just bad at drawing or just you don't really know where people were kind of going with it, and then you make a line and people are like, why did you do that? And you're like, why wouldn't I do that? So anyways, it's super
not, you might be hearing that and thinking, oh, that sounds very easy to identify. It's not easy to identify. No. Because again, like Jamie said, I'm a very bad drawer. So a lot of the times when we were playing this with the Table Knots guys and girls, I would draw something and they'd be like, what is that? I'm like, it's part of the freaking turtle. Obviously. Like, what do you mean? And then they would always think I'm lying. And then I was like, you're the fake artist. I'm like, I'm not.
Next up on our list is going to be Night of the Ninja. Lid lift.
You go ahead.
This is another deduction style game where everybody is handed a card at the beginning of the game that puts them in one family. The Crane family or the Lotus family.
Or the Ronin.
Or the Ronin. You could be a Ronin and then you're like a ninja party of one.
Like rogue.
Exactly, a rogue ninja. And basically throughout the game you have other cards and you're playing them out. So some might be like spy cards or something where you're looking at other people's hands and you want your family, you want your team to win. You are trying to take out the other family. Specifically, it's either the 3 level or the 1 level of that family, whichever one's the strongest. You are basically just trying to knock out the other family. So you have to try and figure out around the table who is part of your little clique, who's part of your group, and people are lying to each other. You're flipping over cards and then you're laying them back down, so I know information about you but you don't know information about me, so now I might try and convince you that I'm actually a Crane when I'm a Lotus. It is a really, really good social deduction game. It plays really quickly. It's like 15 minutes to play. We played this a few times I think we played it at 5 and 6.
If you like coup and that kind of like coup deduction game, I prefer Night of the Ninja now. It's just a little bit more involved, a little bit more fun around the table.
It says, it's a fast-paced game of deadly secrets, midnight assassinations, and paper-thin alliances. Just FYI.
Next up, we have another game with lid lift, and that is from Grandpa Beck's games, Skull King. Skull King is a very interesting trick-taking game wherein, if you've played trick-taking, you've played Skull King. But where it's interesting is you're bidding on tricks. The scoring mechanic is different in Skull King than any other trick-taking game I've played. Ultimately, you can bid how many tricks you take, and you would score 10 points per trick that you're correct. However, let's say I bid 3, that I'm going to win 3 tricks. If I get 3, I will score 30 points. If I get 0, I will get negative 30. So it's the difference of what you've bid versus what you get in the negative. So if I bid 3 and got 4, I would get negative 10. I only score points if I get exactly what I bid. Also, you can always bid 0. And 0 will multiply by the round you're in. So it's 10 times the round. So if you bid 0 in round 9 and you get 0, you're going to get 90 points.
Yes.
But
high risk, high reward.
If you don't get 0, you're going to get negative that many points, which is devastating.
Yes.
If you've ever played this game with me, you know I will constantly bid 0 because I will shoot for the moon every time. We love Skull King. We love yelling yo ho ho.
Yeah, the way you bid is you go yo ho ho, and then you put like 2, 4, 0, whatever it might be. So, yo ho ho! Jeez, everybody winning.
Oh no.
Fun. It scares our dog though.
There's really cool cards in here that are kind of trump suits. Like you can play out a pirate, which trumps pretty much every other card, but then there's also a mermaid, which will trump the pirate.
There's a Skull King.
There's a Skull King that trumps everything. There's just really interesting kind of dynamics in this trick-taking game. It's very fun. We've had a blast every time we've played it.
Every time.
And it's just an easy way to get people cheering around the table.
Yeah, it livens things up.
It gives a lot of juice to people.
Yeah, there's a Kraken card in there as well, so you can literally like blow everything up so nobody gets the points.
Yeah.
And it's just super, super fun.
Yeah, last time we played it, someone needed the trick in order to get the points that they needed.
Yeah.
And I think it was Jason with the last card played the Kraken down, and he like slammed it down on the table, and everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. It definitely is one of those games that gives you a lot of those like funny moments, and you're like, sometimes you don't know how many tricks you're gonna win, and it's really hard to figure it out. So anyways, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The next game on our list is one that you have heard us talk about exhaustively, but you're about to hear us talk about it again. And that is Camel Up, a camel race that you're bidding on camels
I was gonna say,
to win.
if you call this a friggin' racing game,
Everybody gets at me about calling it a racing game, but in my mind, the camels are racing.
That's not the mechanic of the game,
It doesn't matter. You are bidding on camels to win a race. So the camels are going around this little like racetrack, and you have a little pyramid that you're shaking, and then it poops out dice. You go boop boop, and then the dice goes boop, and it shows you a color and how many spaces that camel will move. Now, a really cool mechanic of this game is that, so this is the second edition. I don't know that this comes in the first edition.
It doesn't.
But there are two camels, a white camel and a black camel, that move the opposite way. So if one of the camels that you have been bidding on hops on the back of one of those camels, well, they're actually going to start going in the opposite direction. So it just makes it really, really interesting. This game will get people up. They will get people yelling and cheering, but you have to be into it. You have to commit to Camel Up. You have to yell Camel Up every time the dice poops out from the pyramid.
That's our house rule.
That is a house rule, and it is non-negotiable.
Yep.
We love this game. Ever since the very first time that we've played it, I would play this game at any opportunity. Anytime that a group wants to play this, I am 100% all in to play Camel Up.
Agreed.
I think it's probably has given us experiences that have been the most fun that we've ever had playing board games.
I would agree.
Yeah. And if you want to watch us play it, we actually played it during one of our board game weekends. So maybe I'll even link that below.
We did.
But if you haven't played it, my goodness gracious, great balls of fire, you should.
Next up, from Sir Friedman Freeze.
Yep, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
We have Fuji Flush. Fuji Flush is just a card game that is going to sound confusing, but it's not confusing once you start playing it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, in Fuji Flush, you are trying to get rid of your hand of cards. The first person to get rid of their hand of cards wins. How you do that is by playing out cards in front of you, flushing opponents. So basically, if I play a 2, and then Jamie's next to me on my left, and then she plays a 3. Her 3 is higher than my 2, so that gets flushed, and I have to redraw a card. If I can play out a card, and then it go all the way, stay on the table without getting flushed, all the way back to me, it is discarded without me redrawing. Yeah. So that's how you get rid of your cards. The coolest part of this is you can make trains.
Choo-choo train.
So if I played a 2, and Jamie played a 2, we now have 4 collectively.
Yes.
But let's say the person next to Jamie also plays a 2. We now have 6.
Yeah.
So someone has to play a 7 or higher in order to flush all of us combined, because we have 6 total power.
Yes, and you could do that with any number. It's just that it happens that choo-choo train sounds the best.
And there's more 2s in the game than there would be 10s or 11s. You know, as the value of the cards increase, there's less amounts of those cards in the deck.
It goes up to 20.
And that's the game. Board Game Barrage talks about this game.
Yes.
And that's where we had heard about it.
That's where I'd heard about the choo-choo train. It plays up to 8 people. In case you're
it's super fun. We've played this with people at PAX. We've introduced it to people who've also had a blast with it. And it's one that is another game like Camel Up that I think provides some of the most memorable moments in gaming for us.
Because as soon as you start chanting choo-choo train, choo-choo train, and everybody start, and even if it's not helpful for you, you're going to throw down a 2 because it's just
you want to be
fun
part of the train.
to be part of the train. Yeah. It's so good.
Fuji Flush, out of print, but I think
you could get it.
Many people have found it, so I don't think it's hard to find, but it is out of print.
All right, so the next game that we have to talk about is called Colt Express. Now, this game is just a silly game about being in the Old West and shooting people
Shooting
and
and
punching
looting.
people and looting and all that stuff. So we actually originally played this on BGA with our friends over from Nerds of the West.
Mhm.
And if you are not subscribed to them both on YouTube and Twitch, you need to be. It's a group of friends from Australia and they are a hoot.
They're a riot.
They're
and
a
they're
blast.
so fun to play games
They're
with.
so fun to play games with. We need to
Yeah.
play now that we're settled. Well, actually, the internet here is so terrible.
the
I don't
internet's
think
not
that we
gonna
can. As soon as we buy our new house,
Mhm.
gang of Nerds of the West,
Yep.
we are going to be playing games. Anyways, in this game, there is a 3D train that you have built up, and there's little meeples, and you are playing cards down, face down. So you're basically like choosing the cards that you're going to be playing for the round, and they're getting put into a pile.
Sometimes
Then
face up too, though.
sometimes face up. Then you're going to be revealing cards one at a time. So you don't know what other people are placing down. And sometimes you also forget the order that you placed your cards. So it's a bit of a surprise. So let's say that Jeff placed down a loot card. So he's going to pick up a diamond. I played down a punch card. So I punch Jeff. He drops his loot. And then maybe my next card that comes up is going to be a loot and I actually end up stealing his diamonds.
Mhm.
That's basically the game. You are just going around this train trying to get this briefcase that is full of lots of money.
Mhm.
And you're going around, you're punching people, you're
Shooting.
shooting people, you're jumping up and down on the train. It's just madness and it is so funny.
Mhm.
Because sometimes you'll put a card in where you're either punching or shooting someone and you don't actually know who you're targeting at the time because people are moving around. There might be one punching bag in the whole group that just keeps getting all of the hits and it's just hilarious.
Yeah, I should mention that it's like sequential. So
Yeah.
when you add movement and stuff to the pile, that pile gets played out in order.
Yeah.
So then it's flipped and then all played out. So things can change because you don't know what everyone else is playing.
Exactly.
So you have to kind of like plan out your whole turn and hope things go your way.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
Yeah, and there are asymmetrical player powers, so each character in the game has their own special ability, which is kind of cool. There
Yeah.
is also a small version of this game called Colt Super Express. We haven't tried it yet, but it's only cards, so it doesn't come with a 3D train. But in my opinion, if you have a chance to play one or the other,
Yeah.
you got to try it with the 3D train because
Agreed.
it is just, if you have a group of friends, try it on BGA also. You'll just lose it laughing.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Next up we have Similo, and this version is Similo Spookies.
Spookies.
So this is the only version of Similo that we have. We just added this to the collection. We've played Similo on BGA with our friends over at Table Knots, and then we just picked this one up. Similo is a deduction game. So let's say I'm acting as the secret character. I need everyone else to figure out who I am.
Yeah.
As a secret character. And I have a hand of cards that I can give them as clues. So either the card I'm playing out is similar or dissimilar, or as Jamie would say, similar or dissimilo. Similo or dissimilo.
Yeah.
And you play orientation of that card accordingly. So if you play it one way, you're telling everyone, my card is similar to my character. So then they have to eliminate in a grid of 9.
Or 12. No, it's 12.
They have to eliminate characters out of the grid of 12 in order to eventually get to who I am as my character. If they guess incorrectly, then the game's over.
And that progresses. So round 1, you eliminate 1. Round 2, you have to eliminate 2, etc.
Yeah, and so everyone kind of, in a multiplayer game, it played relatively well at 2-player.
Yeah.
But if there's a higher than 2-player count, everyone kind of like votes on who to eliminate. And then the group can kind of like decide, you know, well, I really think this is why he's saying this or whatever. Maybe it's color, maybe it's type, whatever. But that's basically Similo.
It's a nice little co-op game that you could literally play with anyone. And there's so many different versions. So there's like farm animals, there's regular animals, there's fables, there's spookies. And so I feel like the spookies one is probably not as great for everyone. But if you want to start with a group, maybe try like the animals one, because like I feel like we could play the animals one with your mom as an example. This next one I'm doing as a twofer, okay? Because I just consider these games to be different versions of each other. And that is going to be Just One from Repost Production and Doodle Dash from Chili Fox. Doodle Dash is essentially a drawing version of Just One. So let me start with Just One. In Just One, everybody around the group or everybody's going to get a little placard with a white erase marker. Then you're going to have one person that is going to be the guesser, and they are going to choose a card and then pick a number from 1 to 5 on that card, which corresponds with the word. They're going to say, I pick number 3, and everybody around the table looks at that word except for
The
me,
guesser.
except for the guesser. So then the guesser closes their eyes and says, go, and everybody writes one word, just one. You have no idea how many times people ask, can I write 2 words? Can I write a sentence? And I just respond, just one. It's the name of the game. Then when everybody is done writing, everybody around the table will compare their words with each other. And if there are any words that match, then they're gone from the game. And then the guesser gets to open up their eyes and they get to look at all of the words that are left. And then they have to try and figure out what the word was on the card. So everyone's writing a word that is associated with the word on the card.
But you don't want to be so obvious with your word because you know someone else is likely to write the thing. So then you overthink it and no one gives the obvious clue.
Never.
And so you're like, oh my God. Like it might be the clue is torch and no one wants to pick fire because
well, somebody's gonna write it.
Everyone else thinks that someone's going to write it. So no one writes fire.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, now we have no idea what this is.
Yeah, and you often, as a guesser, will end up with some very abstract words that don't connect, especially if 2 or 3 people write down the most obvious clue and those are gone, then you only have like the most abstract ones to guess with, and it's just... It's so much fun. I love this game. You can introduce this game to anyone. Anyone can play this game. Now, Doodle Dash, very, very similar, but instead of writing a word on the whiteboard, you are drawing an image. And then there's also an added component of a bit of a speed element. The game comes with a little wooden dowel and a dice. And on one side of the dice, it has a stop hand, a hand saying stop. As you're drawing the word, same as just one, but instead of writing or drawing, the first person who's done their drawing who thinks this is good enough, so you get the guesser to guess, they grab that wooden dowel. They're the first person. Then the second person will grab that dice and they'll start rolling until it comes up with that stop hand, and then everybody else has to stop drawing. Then the guesser first will interact with the first player who grabbed the dowel, and if they can guess the word based on that image, which rarely happens because it's usually just a scribbled mess, then each of those players get a point. If the guesser doesn't guess, they move on to the second player who rolled the dice, and if they get it then they both get a point. But if not, then the guesser gets to move on to the larger group to guess. And if the guesser guesses from the big group, everybody gets a point except for the first and second. That's it. Super simple. Like I said, anyone can play this. The beauty of Doodle Dash as a drawing game is you do not need to know how to draw.
No.
Like literally at all. It's actually better when everything is a mess.
Yeah, it's almost like how can you draw efficiently? How can I get my point across as quickly as possible?
These games are always a hit.
I'm going to go with this one because I think it kind of somewhat falls in line with those other ones. Monikers. And I think by now everyone's probably heard of Monikers or Time's Up. And I think there was something even before that. Maybe I'm wrong.
There's it's called the Celebrity Game, I think.
Yeah,
or
anyway,
something.
Monikers is just a very simplistic card-based game, wordplay game where you are going through 3 rounds. You'll have a stack of cards, and you usually will play this in teams, 2 on 2 or whatever. You'll have a stack of cards with a bunch of prompts on it, like President Bush goes to the supermarket, or
James Earl
Jones, or Earth, or trees, or just a bunch of different things.
Yeah, Pokemon Go.
The first round, you can say anything you want except for the word in order to get someone to guess it.
Yep.
The next round, with, again, the same prompts, then you have a little bit of information to know what cards are in the deck. The next step is one word to make people guess. So if it was tree, maybe I would say forest. And someone would be like, tree, because they remember that tree is in the deck. The third step is charades. And that's where it gets really fun. Yeah. Because some of the prompts are ridiculous. And you will establish things. Even now, we can make gestures to Max and Danielle, and they know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, specifically, Morgan Freeman was
as
one of
president.
The cards.
Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman as president. And I believe one was like...
We just like stood up straight.
And they were like Morgan Freeman. It's just ridiculous. You have so many, so many good memories. It's a struggle for me because I feel dumb in these games sometimes, but I think this is one if you play with the right group of people and you can really just embrace the fun and get out of your own shell and not care about being silly, unparalleled. Yeah. It's unparalleled in terms of fun.
This is one of my ultimate party games that you can play because it doesn't have that board game feel. Like this,
16 plus players.
Yeah, like you can play this with a huge group, great for work parties, great for family gatherings. Like it's it's always a good time. The last game that we have on our list, and I honestly don't even know how many games we talked about at this point, but I couldn't not mention Sushi Go Party. Okay, it has party right in the title.
Look
Sushi,
at the edamame.
I can't even. Look at the green tea ice cream. This game is just freaking adorable. It is a simple set collection game, and Sushi Go, the original, comes with just like one set of sushi that you play with. In Sushi Go Party, there are a variety of different sets. You can mix and you can match. You could play with more people. It's literally just a set collection game. You're going around, you're drafting cards of sushi, laying them out in front of you. At the end of the round, you calculate your points. You go again until the game is over, and whoever has the most points wins. This is a great game if you have maybe kids that are coming to your party, if you have non-gamers coming to the party who, you know, you're like, I really want to play a game with them, but I need something that has a pretty simple rule set, and it's also very inviting, very welcoming because it is so cute. I love Sushi Go. I freaking love this game. And
it's very good.
Although we have sushi... No! Jeff, it all fell out. I spilled my sushi on the table.
When
I eat sushi, I usually eat a variety anyway. So it's okay that it got mixed up. Wasabi. Okay, I forget where I was, but I love this game. It's cute. It's adorable. Jeff loves a little wasabi. And there's even more cutie patooties in the party version. Oh, I remember. We've never actually played anything but the base game, even though we have this. We just pull out the same cards, but we really should, because that is the last game on our list of party games. Aren't you in the mood for a party now?
No.
Party!
I'm tired.
I'm also tired. This is why we don't party, because we are too tired to party. When we do, when we have friends over, these are the types of games we would pull out. If we're going to a friend's house, we took just one to a friend's house. Those are some of our favorite party games. We would love to know in the comments below any suggestions that you might have. Keeping in mind the types of games that we really like to play when we're partying hard are like racing games. But I didn't want to just recommend racing games because that does feel very niche to us. But I do feel like they're great at parties. Yes. Anyways, let us know some of your favorite party games. We would love to know. But I think that's everything for today. So if you're interested in buying party games, if you're interested in partying hard, you should go to your friendly local gaming store because it's always lit at the friendly local gaming stores. Yeah. Perfect. Yes. For us, that is
Boardroom Game Cafe.
Yes, they have parties.
They do.
Yep. They have RPG nights.
They do.
I count that as a party.
It's bumping there all the time.
It's a Dungeon and Dragon
It's always bumping there.
Exactly. That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you at a party soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
Later it is.
Okay, next up.
Wait, I gotta check my phone.
Night of the Ninja. I'm just gonna wait.
This is the issue with stacking things that way.
There must be a better way. It's all them damn ninja stars falling out.
It's all it took.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Liver.
Jeffrey, you up. The last
I
one.
gotta check my phone. Sorry.
Cool. Okay,
Correct.
for us.